So here's a question for you. If you had to pick a single animal to describe how you're living your life right now, what would it be? Maybe a busy bee, a loyal dog, or a lone wolf. It feels like a pretty simple, kind of fun question, right? But what we're about to explore is how the answer can actually reveal a whole lot about who we are, the conflicts we feel inside, and yeah, ultimately who we want to become. Okay, to get us started, there's one key term that really frames this whole idea, and that's zoomorphic. It's just a fancy way of saying something has the form of an animal. I mean, think about it. We do this all the time without even realizing it. We call someone sly as a fox or wise as an owl, but this kind of thinking can go so much deeper than just a simple comparison. It can actually become a lens for how we see ourselves. And that brings us right to the core question from our source material. Take a look. This isn't about your favorite animal, or even your spirit animal in some mystical sense. The question is way more grounded. It's asking which creature's way of life, its rhythm, its instincts, really mirrors your own, right here, right now, in this particular phase of your life. What pops into your head? Let's see how one person really wrestled with this. So, when the author of this reflection tried to answer that question, they didn't just land on one clear choice. Oh no. Instead, they found themselves caught in this really fascinating internal tug of war between two total opposites, the sloth and the shark. Before even picking an animal, the author lays down a really important ground rule for this whole self-exploration. They decide it's not going to be about strength or speed or what you look like on the outside. For them, the real measure is what satisfies the mind. That's a pretty powerful place to start, isn't it? It's a choice to focus on the internal landscape, where the real stuff happens, and where you find real contentment. And bam, right away, we hit the central conflict. I feel like this is something so many of us can relate to, right? That feeling of wanting to be patient, to be present, to just enjoy the process. But at the exact same time, you've got that relentless nagging pressure to be productive, to optimize, to just get things done already and do them perfectly. It's that classic internal battle between just being and always doing. And here they are, the two competing forces, face to face. It's like on one shoulder, you've got the sloth, perfectly happy to move deliberately, thoughtfully, and totally on its own time. But on the other shoulder, you've got the shark, always moving forward, ruthlessly efficient, and laser focused on the goal. These aren't just animals, they're two completely different ways of life, fighting for control inside one person. But here's the twist. This internal fight between the sloth and the shark, that's not the final answer. Not at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's the thing that pushes the author past the whole animal metaphor completely and toward a much deeper, more profound realization about what it means to be human. Wow. I mean, this is such a vulnerable and honestly fascinating thing to admit. You know that feeling of being so caught up in your own head, in your own goals or anxieties, that you start to feel kind of disconnected from the simple shared fact that you're human? This is that moment of stepping back and consciously reminding yourself, hey, I'm part of this, with all the shared struggles and experiences that come with it. And this is where the whole idea just pivots so beautifully. You see, the real desire isn't to be a better sloth or a more efficient shark. I mean, those are creatures of pure instinct. They're bound by their nature. The author realizes the true goal is something animals just don't have, the conscious freedom to choose, to reflect, and to actually work on becoming more self-aware. And in the end, this is the real prize. It's not about winning some internal battle between two animal instincts. True satisfaction, the author concludes, comes from recognizing that you are the one in charge, a self-aware person who has the power not just to live, but to consciously shape your own path forward. That personal agency, that's everything. Okay, so if we have this incredible human power to shape our own future, how do we actually, do it? Well, the source material leaves us with one final, really beautiful metaphor for how to put this self-awareness into practice in our day-to-day lives. This completely reframes the question we started with. Maybe the sloth and the shark aren't who you are. Maybe they're just ideas, or tendencies, or seeds planted inside you. And just like in a garden, the plants that end up flourishing and taking over are simply the ones you choose to water. Your curiosity, your attention, your focus, that's the water. So, we end right where we began, but with a new, and I think much more powerful question. It's not just what animal are you anymore. It's now, which part of yourself will you choose to grow? Inside all of us, there are countless seeds of potential.
So the final thought I'll leave you with is this. Which one are you going to water today?